Welcome to the Sports Council. I'm Jamie Council. It's football season, and this is considered one of the hardest weeks in high school football. Why? Because games don't start until next week, so players are expected to practice with no carrot at the end of the stick because a week is a long time, especially when you're in high school. The MCC, arguably one of the best leagues in the state of Washington, 3A and 4A, and in 3A, Kennewick, always one of the top contenders in the state, having a share of the MCC title alongside Kamayakin and Chiawana last year, their first time holding that title since 2012, and we're going to catch up with Randy Affholter and Donald Ramos, coaches for the Lions, in this episode of the Sports Council.
Is now in session.
With a personality shaped by being an athlete and a background in mainstream sports media, I found that the stories I was most interested in telling were the ones often overlooked, the ones that might not otherwise be told, the ones that show the intangible and not just the highlight reel. The Sports Council is about highlighting the great, the good, the unique, and everything in between in the Pacific Northwest sports world. I'm Jamie Council. Thanks for joining me.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
Randy Affholter, head football coach, Kennewick High School.
So you guys just started last week. It's crazy to think that football season is already here. How have things been going so far?
Been good. I mean, we actually start, everybody starts right after Memorial Day, so it's been going on for a while, and I mean, it's a long process to get to this point and then hopefully play a game here in about a week and a half.
Yeah, hopefully you put that in there because these days we really don't know.
Exactly. You don't know if it was smoke and heat and everything else. You just don't know what's going to happen.
Absolutely. And before we look into this year's team, how did you guys feel after the end of last season?
Oh, I felt good. I mean, I thought that where we're at in the tournament, and we had some injuries, to Ambrose and to some other key players. I thought we played very well in the quarterfinal game. Obviously, maybe if we had Ambrose and those other kids, maybe it could have been different. I don't know, but I thought the kids that came in and played for them did a great job for us, and I thought our kids played hard that game. They laid it on the line, they gave everything they had, and the team that we lost to went on the next weekend, and it was a good game, 0-0 halftime like ours was against them. So we felt like we were right in the mix, So we felt good after the end of the season.
And then looking before that, the Mid-Columbia Conference, the MCC, you guys had a piece of that pie, which is the first time in quite a few years that you guys have done that. Yeah,
I think it was 2012 or something like that. Yeah, and that was one of the kids' goals. They wanted to win the MCC, and because they hadn't done that in a while. So it felt good to accomplish that goal, and like always, it always feels good to play more games, as for seniors and stuff when you get that postseason.
So, quick overview. Now you have the guys returning that you have returning. Who are the Kennewick Lions this year? So,
we have quite a few kids that played last year. They might not have started, but they ended up playing a lot for us. Like offensive line-wise, we have Lincoln Pennington back. J.C. Cadenas is back. Robbie McMillan played a little bit, he played a little bit, but he's back as a senior for us. Alex Roberts, Keenan Hayes, Dom Driver, who filled in for his brother in the tournament for 3 games, he's back playing for us. Jaron Lazama, so we have quite a few kids back playing for us, this coming fall.
And we'll go through position by position of what to look out for. So I guess let's start with quarterbacks, what you guys got.
Well, again, Dom's going to be a junior. Like I said, he played last year for a couple of games for us, there in the tournament. And then Brady Madsen's also going to be a junior. He's our other quarterback at this point in time, and our sophomore quarterback is Bradley Parker. So, I mean, one thing we do miss right now is a senior quarterback. You know, we just didn't get one developed in that class, and you know, we like to always try to play a senior if possible, to be honest with you, but it's not going to turn out that way this year.
So who's looking to be QB1? Obviously, you have a quarterback that got experience kind of thrown into the fire, so to speak.
Big time thrown in the fire.
Big time thrown into the fire. So what is that looking for? When you guys making that decision? Because like you said, you don't have the senior quarterback.
Yeah, right now it's Dom. Dom, because I mean, where he was at last year and where he's at now. He's just farther ahead than those other two at this point in time. So he'll be the number one guy going into our first game. And
how has Dom progressed from, we got to see him last year with Driver being hurt, to this season? I think the biggest thing, I think he's progressed by understanding the total offense. You know, when he played last year for us in those 3 games, we had kind of dwindled it down a little bit, his grasp of what we were trying to accomplish, and we could expand him a little bit now. And he's asking great questions, like out here today. He's asking some great questions on you know, what we should run or what he should do. I think that's the thing, is just his in-depth of the whole system has gotten better going into this fall. And one group that you have lost a lot of kids at is the receiver position. Yes. So what does that look for now as you're looking to develop and find depth with your receivers? That's a position that, you're right, we have lost a lot. We're trying to find those. And so, you know, we have Jaron Lozama back, who played quite a bit for us last year. And luckily enough, we had some kids that had played and came back out, like the Chavez twins, Dane and Dirk Chavez. They're back out playing for us. We're hoping that, you know, they could step up in those roles. Another kid who was out, or didn't play last year but came back this year, is Cam Owen. He's back with us. And then hopefully some of our younger kids, like a Brody Davis, Chase Taylor, they're going to be juniors that could kind of fill in those roles for us this coming fall. And it seems like Kennewick is always known for your line, and you are the pipeline to Idaho. Official, unofficial, I don't quite know how to say it, but you guys are known for churning out guys. What does that look like this year for you? You know, I think some of our kids that we have this year are not getting the hype that the Kennewick's got, you know, early on. Exactly. But I mentioned Robbie McMillan earlier, but Robbie's, you know, he's 6'6", 265, has really developed his body and has really come on, in my opinion, kind of a program guy, just kind of as a freshman, like a Bambi, could barely walk and chew gum, and he just kept doing what we asked him to do. And now he's turned into, you know, he's like, say, he's 6'6", you know, 265. And Lincoln played a lot for us last year, and then also JC played a lot for us. And then we have another tackle, he's junior, and I think he's kind of like where Robbie's at right now. He's like 6'6" and about 260. He's a junior. Ben Edwards, again, I just think needs some time to develop, and you know, both those kids, in my opinion, have a chance to possibly advance on, just because when you get 6'6", a lot of people start looking at you just because you're 6'6". And with those football kids too, I feel like it almost happens overnight, where, like you said, you kind of look like Bambi out there. Yep. Then you hit the weight room for a year, and then it's like, who is this person? Yeah, and that's exactly what, you know, Robbie and Ben have done. They just kept working at it, and their bodies are starting to catch up to their bodies. You know, the coordination's starting to catch up. But I think, you know, they have a chance possibly. And then, you know, we do have a young sophomore kid named Maze Mayovsky, Miles' little brother. He's playing guard for us right now, and that's where he's probably going to play. But he's another kid that has a chance to, you know, do pretty well for us. People know the Mayovsky. Oh, yeah, they know the Mayovsky name pretty well. And with that being said, what can people expect out of the Kennewick defense this year? You know, I think we've always been pretty good of bending but don't break. You know, I've always thought our kids are well prepared. I think we do a good job too of disguising things and making it hard on quarterbacks. You know, young quarterbacks and stuff. You know, I think you're going to kind of expect the same. I think one thing we do have right now is I do think we're finding some pieces in the secondary, but I think there's some good speed there. You know, that we kind of not quite had the last few years speed-wise, but we have some good players, but just not the 4.4s, the 4.5s, the 4.6s across the board that we kind of have this fall and stuff back there. bend don't break. That's a good way to put it,
Yeah.
because of all those low-scoring games
Yeah.
that were like, taking a look at the state game, it's like 8-6. Like, what is going on?
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of always been our philosophy. You know, you're going to give up things. I mean, there's good teams, and you're going to give up things, but you just don't want to break when you want to bow your neck when you need to bow your neck. You know, and stop them when you need to stop them.
And now moving to offense, you guys. Like I said, you have lost a lot of depth at the receiver, where you guys, with Mayofsky when he was younger, really ground and pound, and then you started to get a little bit more fluctuation of balancing things out.
Right.
What can we expect from the Kennewick offense this year?
You know, I think it's going to depend upon really what happens with our wide receiver core. You know, if they develop, I still think that we could be a spread type of team. But I do like our tight end group right now. We have Tanner Larson, who's 6'6", 230. Cooper Neer, who's like 6'2", 205. Jacob Gay, he's not as big, but he's very physical at 195. I really like the ability to get big, I would say, with our tight end group, and hopefully maybe go back to a little more pounding and grinding a little bit, using play action and stuff like that with our kids. But I think it's going to depend upon, like I said, our wide receiver group, how far they advance from now until, say, mid-season, into the season, to kind of see where we're at. But I do think one of our strengths can be really running the football, because I think we got some really good running backs, and we can get pretty big, because all our kids are 270, 280. I think our smallest kid up front's like 235. So we can get pretty big pretty fast,
And your schedule bodes very well for that. Taking a look, it's going to be one tough October for you.
Oh yeah. But that's the MCC. I mean, it's a smash face league. I've always said it. I love this league because it prepares you for if you are fortunate enough to get in a tournament. It really prepares you, because you've gone through the grind, you've gone through back-to-back weeks. You get used to that. Because to me, that's the hardest thing. When you get into the tournament, it's going back-to-back weeks on grinding, and tough teams and physical games, and that's one reason why I like this league so much.
Yeah, and what I meant by that is that you play Kennewick and Richland and Chiawana all in October.
Oh yeah. Well, last year we played them all three in September, whatever it was. So it's no different. It's just the way. I mean, it's just the way it is. The way the schedule falls, and you gotta go play. That's just the way it goes.
And with your team, you guys have come so close. You've been the talk where people are always talking about Kennewick when they're talking about the top teams in the state. You got runner-up a couple years ago, the second time in program history. How do you guys feel, or how do you guys always get to that point where even now they're saying, well, always keep your eyes on Kennewick, where you guys are so close?
I think the biggest thing for us, I talked to another reporter about it, I think one thing I truly believe in is always trying to get better every week, and if you really focus in on yourself, trying to get better every week, all those other things will take care of themselves, at the end of the season, where you're going to fall, what it's going to look like, and everything else. And I think if you get too far ahead of yourself and you start worrying about this team or that team and everything else, that's where I think you get in trouble. You just got to stay where you're at every week, try to get better every practice. So, hopefully you get in those moments so you can take advantage of that, and like I always tell our kids too, it's not always the best team that wins, it's a team that plays the best, and you got to keep that in mind, because everybody's beatable on any given Friday night. You just got to be one of those teams that are going to play the best on that Friday night.
My coach used to say that you could play a team and you could lose 9 times out of 10, but make sure that that's the one.
Exactly, that's the one, and that's how you got to look at it. And that's why it's so important to try to teach people how to get better. And I also think too, if you worry about that getting better every week too, you don't when you go into big games, you don't get nervous, you don't get tight, you just keep playing.
And with Kennewick getting so close, being the talk every year, we were talking before this interview that you're in your 31st year,
yep.
Over 200 wins. You said that you've done everything that you wanted to do besides win a state championship.
Yeah, it's the only thing I haven't accomplished in my career. So that's one thing for me personally. I've been trying to push and guide, and I'm going to keep going, and maybe till I don't think my wife will like it. To be honest with you, but But I want to keep going as long as I can, and then every time we show up, that's always going to be one of the goals we're going to have, and try to go get, and I think every high school wants to go do that, but that's one thing. That's kind of the last, for me, it would be a kind of icing on the cake type of deal, but I think I've done enough, and I feel good, and I've made a lot of relationships with a lot of coaches and a lot of kids. Hopefully they've all had good experiences playing. I think that's probably more important, than the state championship. But that's one thing I have not yet done yet, though.
Well, hopefully your wife doesn't listen to 1340.
No, she doesn't. Trust me, she's listening to SM, Country Highway or whatever. That's probably what she's listening to. So she's probably not listening to this, honestly.
Well, you notice that we didn't talk about running backs because that we're going to talk to Coach Ramos at the running backs. And with that being said, part of something with the really good teams, including Kennewick, are the coaches that you have under you, including Coach Ramos, but you have a great support system underneath you.
We have a great staff. We have a great staff that's been coaching for a long time. I think Coach Bybee's our youngest coach, and he's 26. He's coached college football, and he's been with us for 2 years now. But almost every other coach has, multiple years of experience. I have a couple of coaches on staff who've been ex-head coaches. They're knowledgeable of the game. I could delegate to them and they could take over. This staff, to be honest with you, this staff, honestly, if they ever wanted to move on and say we wanted to go coach college football, this staff can go do it, in my opinion. Hands down, easy peasy. I mean, they can really do that. That's how strong I believe in this group of coaches here at Kennewick High School.
We're catching up with Randy Affholter, head coach for Kennewick Football. When we come back, we'll hear from Donald Ramos, running back coach for the Lions. You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, your Tri-Cities leader in sports.
You're listening to Jamie Council on the Sports Council.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
School is starting back up, and it's time to get your Krispy Kreme fundraiser scheduled. It's a fun and easy way to support your team and school. And Krispy Kreme wants to thank our firefighters and law enforcement. Wednesdays, first responders who purchase a dozen donuts will receive a second dozen, original glazed, for just $4.99. And don't forget, everyone can have 2 dozen original donuts for $24.99 every day. All at your local Krispy Kreme, 2805 Duport-Tail Street in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
You're listening to the Sports Council on 1340 ESPN, the Tri-Cities leader in sports.
My name is Donald Ramos, and I'm the varsity running back coach for the Kennewick Lions.
And how long have you been coaching at Kennewick High School?
This will be my 18th season.
18?
Yes.
What keeps you coming back every year?
The group of coaches, to be honest with you. Besides the passion for football and coaching, it's a great group of coaches we have out here.
So before this, I was talking to Randy, Coach Affholter, about all the different position groups, but we left out the running backs because you were coming up. And with that being said, there's been a lot of great running backs that have come through Kennewick High School. We were just talking about Miles Mayofsky, even though he is playing linebacker over in Spokane Eastern. So talk a little bit about being a running back coach. How do you develop those players?
Oh, well, it starts at the varsity level, so having those good group of coaches down there helps my job a lot. and being able to have them at the sophomore level to help them develop into that varsity where they're kind of prime now. Like we have some really good varsity running backs right now at that senior level. It's all about getting reps and consistency, and having the players that want to learn and be coachable helps a lot too.
Absolutely. And then I think one thing is the coaches that are here have been here for so long.
Yes.
Have you worked with any of the coaches for all 18 of the seasons?
Yes. There's been, I think, well, just at the varsity level, I think there's 6, and then almost every freshman coach. So I think there's about 10 of them that have been here ever since I've been here. So being able to gel, all kind of know what we're looking for and what we're wanting to coach makes it easy. So,
that's what I was kind of getting at.
Correct.
Is you talk about, oh, you're developing good running backs, but then you have this monstrous line that just seems to come up, which makes your job easier, and it kind of all gels together like you mentioned.
Yeah, we have, in my mind, we always say this, Coach Prine, we call him the magician. He's our offensive line coach. I still think he's the best one in the league, but I'm a little biased. But yeah, he does a great job with our O-line. We always, every year we seem to have someone that's kind of moving on, but he's always able to replace a piece, like a chess board. He's moving people around if we have to, if there's an injury, whatever we do, he knows what he's doing. And again, as a running back coach, makes my job pretty easy.
Speaking that you're the running back coach, let's talk a little bit about the core that you have this year. Tell me a little bit about the running backs that people will see at Kennewick High School.
So returning, we have, as far as starters, Alex Roberts and then Kanan Hayes, both fast, strong. I've been committed to the weight room, so they're just as strong in there. And then we also have, as far as fullbacks are concerned, we have Cooper Neer, and then we have Jacob Gay, and then we have Dawson Gabers. Good group of guys. They're all strong guys that have been committed to the weight room. Like, they have dedicated themselves since last season, to be honest with you. Like, they have gotten faster, stronger, bigger, and have been committed to football since the end of last season. Like, the senior year is what been their goal. So, good group of guys, and we have some stuff we'll be coming out with people haven't seen yet, so it's kind of exciting.
Well, I guess I won't. You're not going to allow me to spoil it.
No. Yeah. Let's just say we're going to use our strengths to our advantage.
And talk about the differences between these running backs. That sometimes if you see something else with the team, so I mean, everybody knows Alex Roberts.
Sure.
He kind of ran literally, pun intended, the run game last year in the league, very fast, and we know what to expect of him. So just kind of talk about those different pieces that you have that you can really hit teams in different ways with the running backs and the fullbacks that you have.
Sure. I mean, as far as like even my indie drills are concerned, each back is unique in their own way. Each one has a certain cut they are better at than the other, and so I kind of adjust my indie drills for that. Obviously, his top end speed is really fast, and so is Kanan as well. Alex may be a little bit quicker and shifty, where Kanan has more of a power cut, but top end speed is pretty close to the same. So, and then we have some really strong, big, heavy backs where they may not cut, they may just go through somebody. So we kind of have a combination of 4 different ways if we want to run the ball. We have a lot of options we can pull out of our hat, per se.
And with the MCC, I was talking to Coach Affholter that last year was the first time since 2012 that you had a piece of the pie, of course, sharing it with Kamayakan and Chiawana. Mm-hmm. What do you expect out of the MCC this year?
I still think MCC is the strongest overall conference in the state of Washington, as far as overall teams are concerned, because I mean, last year I think we had 4 or 5 teams in the playoffs. So I mean, we're playing a good team almost every week, so which I think helps benefit us. I feel like our side of the state's really physical. So I mean, that kind of gives us a little bit of practice going to once we start getting to the state playoffs, and usually a lot of times over there you get a little bit more bigger guys up front. But I just feel like our league is is competitive all around, so every week is a must-win for us. It's not like we get a week off, so we're ready come playoff time.
And you still have a little bit of time before the first game, that being Hanford. But have you guys already started preparations, or what's the timeline of when you really start looking at the next game? This is the only time all season that you're going to have a little bit of time before it's okay, next game.
Usually beginning of the season, like we have now, we focus on getting our stuff in, what we want to run first, and then come game week, that's when we truly game plan for what we're looking for. We treat it like it would be normally, film that weekend before, install, start prepping then. Right now, we're more concerned on what we want to do these first 2 weeks. This is the hardest week of football is what we call it, because you have 6 days of practice with nothing at the end to look forward to except for a Sunday off. So this is a mental battle this week is what we call it.
And I didn't get a chance to ask Randy this question, so I'm going to ask you of talking about any Kennewick players that people know the names to look out for, but who is somebody maybe on the Lions that people don't know their name, but they're going to learn this year?
Well, I would say our quarterback, because he stepped in at the very end just as a sophomore, not much varsity playing time. Dom Driver, I think he's developed and matured a lot just from last season. To me, that would be the one I would point out.
So Dom Driver, and how does it benefit him being a driver, I should say?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously that's kind of been a family line. But just, I think him being able to get that experience at the end of the year, having to jump in there at the playoff time when his brother tore his ACL, made him aware of what he has to prepare for this season. I think he took the time in preparation to be ready for this season. And it's shown so far this fall practice.
Inconveniences can happen at, inconvenient times. JRT Mechanical has plumbers and HVAC technicians available 24/7 if an emergency does arise. Or if you feel like your house isn't cooling like it used to, or if you're tired of a hose leaking from last winter's freeze, JRT is an honest, reliable company that's been in the Pacific Northwest for more than 3 decades. Give JRT Mechanical a call at 509-314-4314 or visit jrtmechanical.com.
If you've got a winery, brewery, or dairy, why buy industrial parts and supplies from across the country? Central Industrial Sales is your local source for supplies and equipment for the dairy, food processing, winery, and brewing industries. We specialize in custom fabrication, industrial cleaning equipment, sanitary fittings, valves, pumps, chemicals, and many other supplies. Everything's available through our website, by phone, or by dropping by our office. Call 509-375-4032 or find us at centralindustrialsales.com.
Kick off football season with Krispy Kreme and the Dr. Pepper collection, including 3 Dr. Pepper football-themed donuts, August 23rd through September 2nd. We've also brought back the fan favorite, pumpkin spice cake, now through November 28th. So come in today and ask how Krispy Kreme can help your club or team raise money for the upcoming school year. It's fun and easy at Krispy Kreme, 2805 Duportail Street in Richland. Come in with a sweet tooth, leave with a smile.
In this episode of the Sports Council, we heard from Randy Affholter, head football coach for Kennewick, as well as Donald Ramos, longtime running back coach for the Lions. Kennewick kicks off their season on Friday, September 6th, facing Hanford at Lamson Stadium. Kickoff at 7 o'clock. Well, that'll wrap up this week's show of the Sports Council. A reminder that the Sports Council happens 4 times a month, Thursdays at 11:30 a.m. on 1340 ESPN Radio, your Tri-Cities leader in sports, on demand at 1340ESPNradio.com. It's also available via podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Sports Council. As well as there is a video portion that you can find on SK Plus. SK Plus is an app that you can find in the Apple Store. Available for iPhones, iPads, or Apple TV. You can also find it on skeeterbuggins.com. Thank you to Stevens Media Group and Skeeter Buggins Productions with the help of the Sports Council. We'll catch you next time. Until then, I'm Jamie Council.